All right, picture this. Preseason game against the Rams. The Browns are in that late summer grind where rosters are being evaluated, depth charts are being shuffled, and every snap feels like a job interview. The lights aren't quite as bright as the regular season, but the stakes? They're enormous for the guys fighting to prove they belong. Enter Shedeur Sanders. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. The rookie quarterback, the one carrying not just his own weight, but a heavy, glittering shadow of his father's legendary name, takes the field. And from the first series, it's clear he's not just there to run plays. He's there to compete, to lead, to carve his name into a franchise that spent decades begging for a quarterback they can believe in. And then, just as the momentum starts to build, it happens. Stefanski makes the call. Sanders is pulled. Tyler Huntley trots onto the field. Now, for most rookies, that's where the story ends. They jog to the sideline, helmet in hand, maybe slam down on the bench and stew quietly. They pout. They sulk. They internalize it. I guess coach doesn't trust me yet. But Shedeur Sanders? He's not most rookies. The walk to Stefanski. Instead of moping, Sanders marches straight over to Stefanski. Not angry, not reckless. Calm, composed, but with fire in his eyes. He leans in, helmet tucked under his arm, and asks the question everyone in the stadium could practically feel radiating off him. Why not me? Why not let him finish the drive? Why not let him prove he could bring the offense back? Why not let the kid who just battled through missed blocks, shaky receiver play, and defensive pressure get one more shot? This wasn't ego. This wasn't immaturity. This was conviction. Shedeur wasn't trying to undermine his coach. He was trying to show that he wanted it, that he wasn't content with being benched, that even in preseason, when most guys just play their snaps and jog off, he wanted the ball in his hands. And Stefanski? He didn't brush him off. He didn't shut him down. He listened, and then he smiled. Competitive kid, he said later to the media. Why that moment mattered. It may not sound like much on paper. A rookie asking for more reps, a coach acknowledging his fire. But in Cleveland, this is a seismic shift. Because the Browns haven't just been missing a quarterback. They've been missing a personality, a leader, someone with the audacity to demand greatness, not just accept their place in line. Sanders showed that in one sideline exchange. He wasn't there to pad stats. He wasn't there to look good for social media clips. He was there to win, no matter the situation. And for a franchise with a graveyard of quarterbacks in its rearview mirror, that kind of mentality is priceless. Fans felt it immediately. The moment cameras caught Sanders leaning into Stefanski, fans online exploded. Finally, a QB who cares. That's the fire we've been missing. Kids got championship DNA. Because here's the truth. Browns fans are exhausted. They've lived through years of quarterbacks who either folded under pressure or treated the city like a pit stop. They don't just want talent. They want someone who bleeds for it. Someone who refuses to take the easy way out. Sanders' body language screamed everything they've been waiting for. Huntley versus Sanders. Let's not forget what made this moment sting even more. The decision to bring in Tyler Huntley. Now, Huntley isn't bad. He's serviceable. He's steady. But he's not the future. He's not the guy fans are buying jerseys for. He's not the spark plug that makes teammates sit up straighter in the huddle. So when Stefanski pulled Sanders after he'd already endured the chaos of backup linemen missing assignments and receivers dropping passes, fans weren't just puzzled, they were annoyed. Why not let the rookie cook? Why take away his chance to finish what he started? And when Sanders himself had the confidence to ask the same question directly to his coach, that's when the narrative flipped. This wasn't just a rookie fighting for reps. This was a leader in the making. Stefanski's reaction. To his credit, Stefanski didn't double down on ego. He didn't snap back or shut the rookie down. He respected it. Calling Sanders a competitive kid might sound simple, but in NFL coach speak, that's high praise. It's acknowledgement. It's an admission that Sanders isn't just another rookie body filling out the preseason roster. He's someone they're actually invested in, someone they're willing to work with. And it's worth noting, Stefanski has coached his fair share of quarterbacks. He's seen rookies drown under the pressure. He's seen veterans fold when challenged. So when a rookie looks him in the eye and demands a ball, that gets filed away. That matters. Teammates took notice. You can bet the locker room noticed too. In football, respect isn't earned by speeches or Instagram posts. It's earned in moments like this. When a guy refuses to back down, when he shows his teammates he believes in himself enough to fight for the next rep. Veterans reportedly respected it. Rookies admired it. Because leadership isn't about age. It's about presence. And Sanders showed in that instant that he wasn't afraid to step into the role. Why this could be a turning point. This moment against the Rams might end up being remembered as the turning point for Sanders' career in Cleveland. Not because of the stats, though his line was impressive given the circumstances, but because of the mentality. The refusal to accept good enough, the hunger to compete. Even in a preseason finale, most guys would treat like a warm-up jog. It's that mentality that separates average quarterbacks from franchise quarterbacks. And Browns fans, they know the difference. They've seen too many maybes. Too many guys who coasted. Too many false starts. Sanders isn't promising perfection, but he's showing that he won't accept mediocrity. The bigger picture. Zoom out, and this becomes more than just a sideline exchange. This is about the culture shift happening in the NFL. Rookies aren't just wide-eyed kids grateful for scraps anymore. They're empowered. They know their value. They know the spotlight is on them, and they're willing to claim it. Sanders embodies that. He's not cocky, he's confident. He's not disrespecting authority. He's demanding opportunity. And for a franchise like Cleveland, which has spent years being defined by what they lack, that's exactly the kind of energy they need. What comes next? So where does this leave us? Sanders isn't QB1 yet. Stefanski hasn't anointed him the face of the franchise. Tyler Huntley is still in the mix. But the writing's on the wall. Because moments like this don't just fade. They echo. They build momentum. They become the foundation for bigger opportunities. When Sanders eventually steps into that huddle as the official starter, fans will remember the night he looked his coach in the eye and said, "Why not me?" And when he delivers in a regular season game, when he throws his first game-winning touchdown, when he silences the doubters, that's the fire people will point back to. The kid who refused to sulk. The rookie who demanded respect. The quarterback who might finally end the curse. Final word. The Browns didn't just draft a quarterback. They drafted a competitor. A leader. A kid who refuses to sit quietly on the bench when he believes he can win. And in a city desperate for belief, desperate for a face of the franchise, desperate for someone to demand greatness instead of apologizing for failure, that matters. Shedeur Sanders' sideline challenge wasn't just about one preseason game. It was about setting a tone. And Cleveland heard it loud and clear. So what do you think? Did Sanders prove he's exactly the mentality Cleveland's been missing, or was this just rookie fire that could burn out fast? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this quarterback saga is only heating up. And this week's fake award? Most likely to start a franchise quarterback era with a sideline conversation. Shedeur Sanders, welcome to Cleveland. The city's watching. The league's watching. And after this, nobody's forgetting your name. The Browns' offense have been struggling. Not a total disaster, but not inspiring either. Backup linemen missing assignments. Receivers dropping passes. Play calls feeling a little too vanilla. Typical preseason chaos. And in the middle of it all, Shedeur Sanders. Now, preseason doesn't count for much on paper. Coaches use it to evaluate fringe guys, experiment with play calling, test the depth. But for a rookie quarterback, every snap is magnified. Every drive feels like a chance to prove you belong. Sanders was doing his part. He wasn't throwing no-look bombs or padding a highlight reel, but he was calm, efficient, confident. The kind of quarterback who didn't look rattled, even when protection broke down. And for Cleveland fans, just seeing a QB not look like a deer in headlights, that's already a miracle. But then Stefanski made the call. Pull Sanders, put in Tyler Huntley. And that's where the story takes off. The walk that changed everything. Most rookies would have shrugged, maybe scowled a little, maybe nodded, then sat down and grabbed a tablet to study. They'd take their lumps, because hey, that's life for a rookie. But Sanders didn't sit quietly. Helmet tucked under his arm, he walked straight to Stefanski. Calm, composed. But you could tell this wasn't a just curious conversation. This was fire meeting authority. He looked Stefanski in the eye and basically said, "Coach, I'm not done. Put me back in." And that wasn't arrogance. That was confidence. That was a quarterback saying, "I can lead this team. I want to lead this team. Why not give me the ball and let me finish what I started?" And Stefanski, he didn't shut him down, didn't scold him. He listened, and later, he told the media what everyone watching already knew. He's a competitive kid. Why that matters? It might sound small, but in Cleveland, that's huge. Because the Browns haven't just been cursed at quarterback. They've been cursed with personalities that don't fit. Too timid, too inconsistent, too chaotic, too self-destructive. Shedeur showed something different. The perfect balance of poise and fire. Not screaming at his coach, not throwing a tantrum, not sulking, but challenging. Standing his ground. Showing that even as a rookie, he wasn't content being just happy to be here. That's what leaders do. And leadership is what Cleveland has been begging for. Fans react. This is our guy. Social media lit up instantly. Fans who've been hesitant about Shedeur, some thinking he was just a product of hype, of his last name, of his dad's shadow, suddenly saw it. The it factor, the fire in his eyes, the willingness to demand more of himself, more of his team, more of his opportunity. This is the guy we've been waiting for. Finally, a QB who cares more about winning than looking polished. Stefanski better not waste his kid. In a city that has carried decades of quarterback scars, Sanders' sideline moment gave people something new, belief. The locker room shift. Now let's talk about teammates. Because if you think players didn't notice, think again. NFL locker rooms are meritocracies at their core. Guys don't care about draft position or contracts. They care about who earns respect on the field, who commands a huddle, who puts the ball where it needs to be. And Sanders, in that moment, proved he wasn't afraid to lead, even against his own coach. Veterans see that and nod. They've been around long enough to know leadership when they see it. Rookies see it and think, that's who I want to follow. It's not about yelling speeches or pounding your chest. It's about showing you're willing to fight for the reps, fight for the moment, fight for the win. That's how you earn a locker room. And Shedeur earned a piece of it right there. Stefanski's perspective. Let's be fair. Stefanski's in a tricky spot here. On one hand, he's got to balance his roster. He's got to evaluate Tyler Huntley, give him real game reps, figure out who's worth keeping. That's his job. On the other hand, he's now got a rookie quarterback showing flashes of franchise potential. Flashes you don't want to smother. By calling Sanders a competitive kid, Stefanski did something smart. He didn't frame it as a problem. He framed it as a strength. Because the truth is, every coach wants that kind of fire. They just don't always expect it from a rookie. Stefanski could have turned this into drama. Instead, he leaned into it. And that's crucial. Because if Stefanski plays this right, he doesn't just have a rookie quarterback. He has a cornerstone. Why fans connected with it? This is deeper than football. Cleveland fans are tired of quarterbacks who play like placeholders. Guys who jog onto the field, do the bare minimum, and look like they're just waiting to cash their check. They want a fighter, a competitor, someone who's hungry. Shedeur showed that hunger. And not just with stats, though his preseason numbers were solid. He showed it with body language, with tone, with the simple act of refusing to accept the bench. It told fans, I want this as badly as you do. And in Cleveland, that's everything. A glimpse of the future. This wasn't just a preseason footnote. This was a glimpse into what Shedeur Sanders could become in Cleveland. Not just a quarterback who throws touchdowns. A quarterback who sets a standard. Who demands more, not just from himself, but from everyone around him. That's the DNA of a franchise quarterback. That's what separates the maybes from the definites. And for a city that's been wandering in the quarterback desert for decades, that sideline moment might go down as the first step of something much bigger. The national buzz, And of course, this isn't staying in Cleveland. The national media is already buzzing. Talk shows debating whether Sanders is the answer for the Browns. Analysts replaying the sideline clip, pointing out his composure, his intensity. Former players chiming in. That's exactly what you want in a young QB. Because the NFL loves a narrative. And right now, Sanders is shaping up to be one of the biggest rookie stories of the year. The stakes moving forward. So here's the question. What now? Sanders isn't QB1 yet. That's still up for grabs. But his mentality, the way he handled being pulled, the way he challenged Stefanski, has already changed the conversation. Fans aren't asking if he'll be the starter. They're asking when. And Stefanski knows it. The front office knows it. The locker room knows it. The Browns can try to play it slow, but that moment on the sidelines proved one thing. Sanders isn't waiting around to be handed the keys. He's reaching for them. And honestly, that might be exactly what Cleveland needs. Closing thoughts. At the end of the day, this was about more than one preseason snap. It was about fire, belief, leadership. Shedeur Sanders could have sulked. He could have accepted his fate. But instead, he showed everyone watching, his coach, his teammates, the fans, that he's not just here to participate. He's here to compete. And in Cleveland, where hope has been crushed over and over again, that's a powerful message. Let's be honest. When Sanders marched over Stefanski after being pulled for Tyler Huntley, it sent a message that echoed louder than any touchdown he could have thrown that night. This wasn't about stats or film study or reps. This was about identity, about who he is as a quarterback and who he wants to be for this team. And that's why we need to unpack this, because that moment, seemingly small, just a rookie quarterback talking to his coach, could end up defining not just Shedeur's career, but Cleveland's future. The weight of the decision. Think about Stefanski's position for a second. You're the head coach of a franchise infamous for chewing up quarterbacks and spitting them out. You've seen careers die in this city. You've seen franchise saviors arrive with fanfare and leave with boos. So you pull your rookie, Shedeur, not because he's imploding, but because it's preseason. You want to see what Huntley can do. You're balancing depth, making evaluations. It's a coach's job. But here's the thing. Stefanski underestimated his rookie. He expected Sanders to sit quietly, nod respectfully, and wait for his turn again. Instead, Sanders walked right up to him with the confidence of a 10-year vet and said, "Coach, I'm not done." And that changes everything. The cultural shift. In the old NFL, rookies didn't do this. They kept their heads down. They said, "Yes, sir." They waited their turn. They played the political game. But the league has changed. Players are empowered now. They understand their value, not just as athletes, but as brands, as leaders, as cultural icons. And Shedeur, he's been raised in that world. He's been around the cameras, the pressure, the expectation since he was a kid. So when he tells Stefanski he wants the ball back, it's not arrogance. It's not entitlement. It's a new generation speaking up. It's a young quarterback saying, "I know who I am, I know what I can do, and I'm not going to wait around while you give my reps to someone else." And Cleveland fans? They loved it. Why fans are starving for this? Let's not sugarcoat it. Browns fans have been through hell. They've lived the quarterback graveyard. They've seen everything from number one picks who crumbled under the spotlight to veterans who mailed it in. What they haven't seen, a quarterback with swagger who backs it up. That's why Sanders' sideline fire resonated so hard. Because it wasn't just about wanting to play. It was about wanting to win. It was about refusing to accept mediocrity. It was about showing, even in a meaningless preseason finale, that the game matters. And in Cleveland, where football isn't just entertainment but survival, that's the mentality fans want to see. Huntley's role in all this. Let's spare a thought for Tyler Huntley. Because in a weird way, he's caught in the middle of this. Huntley's not a bad quarterback. He's solid. He's reliable. But he's not the future. He's the kind of guy who can hold down a backup role. Maybe even win you a game or two in a pinch. So when Stefanski put him in, it wasn't an insult to Sanders. It was logistics. It was, let's evaluate everyone. But in doing so, he accidentally set up a symbolic showdown. The hungry rookie with everything to prove versus a steady vet who represents a safe option. And when Sanders pushed back, he essentially told the world, "I'm not here to be safe. I'm here to take over." That's not just competition. That's destiny. Stefanski's gamble. Here's the million-dollar question. How does Stefanski handle this moving forward? Because let's be real, he's walking a tightrope. If he pushes back too hard on Sanders, he risks alienating the one guy who could actually save this franchise. If he gives in too easily, he risks looking like he's lost control of the team. But Stefanski's reaction after the game, calling Sanders a competitive kid, was the smartest thing he could have done. He didn't make it adversarial. He didn't frame it as insubordination. He framed it as passion. That keeps the locker room steady. That tells fans, don't worry, we see what you see. And most importantly, it tells Sanders, we respect your fire and we want to build on it. It's a rare win-win in a situation that could have exploded. The locker room test. Now let's talk about the guys who matter most. The teammates. Players respect authenticity. They can smell fake confidence from a mile away. And when Sanders stepped up to Stefanski, that wasn't fake. That was raw, unfiltered belief in himself. Teammates saw it. They saw a rookie not backing down, not afraid to go toe-to-toe with the head coach if it meant fighting for his team. And that matters. Because when push comes to shove in a real game, that's the guy you want leading your huddle. It's the same reason veterans like Joe Flacco respected him earlier in camp. It's not just about arm strength. It's about presence, command, aura, and Sanders has it. The national spotlight. You better believe the media machine noticed too. Clips of the sideline exchange have already been dissected on talk shows. Analysts are framing it as the moment Sanders showed he's ready to lead. Former players are backing him up. That's exactly what you want from your quarterback. And rivals? They're watching closely. Because if Cleveland doesn't embrace this kid, someone else eventually will. And the Browns. Oh, the Browns cannot afford to be the franchise that lets another quarterback slip through their fingers. Why this is a turning point. This is where it gets dramatic. That little sideline moment might end up being the first page in the story of Shedeur Sanders' NFL legacy. Think about it. Years from now, when Sanders is hopefully leading the Browns into playoffs, people might look back and say, that's when we knew. That's when he showed he wasn't just a rookie, wasn't just another name in the cursed jersey rotation. He was the guy who refused to be sidelined. Because moments like this aren't about stats. They're about spirit. And Sanders showed he has it in spades. The stakes for Cleveland. But let's not get it twisted. This isn't just about Sanders. This is about the Browns as an organization. If they mishandle this, if they try to box him in, silence that competitive fire, or bury him behind safe options like Huntley, they risk repeating history. They risk turning another promising quarterback into a what-if. But if they embrace it, if they channel that fire, nurture it, build around it, they might finally break the curse. That's the tightrope Cleveland's walking right now. And for a franchise with their history, that's terrifying. The fans' verdict. Right now, the city is behind Sanders. Completely. Fans see him as the future. They see the fire. They see the leadership. And they don't want the organization to waste it. In fact, they're not just supporting him. They're demanding it. Social media, call-in shows, even murals around the city. People are rallying. They're ready to ride with Shedeur. And when a city like Cleveland gets behind a player like this, that's not just hype. That's destiny knocking. Closing thoughts. So here's the truth. Shedeur Sanders didn't just play a good preseason game. He didn't just put up decent numbers. He made a statement. He showed he's not just a rookie trying to survive. He's a competitor trying to thrive. He's not here to take reps. He's here to take the team. And Cleveland, desperate for a leader, desperate for a savior, desperate for a quarterback who finally feels different, saw it, and they believe. The only question left is, will the Browns believe too?